Hi gang, David Kruger here with Truth versus Falsehood. With this video, we are going to begin our basic explanation of the procedure of muscle testing. Before we get started with the actual procedure, I want to hit you with a few important facts. In the previous video, which if you haven't seen, you might want to go back and take a look at it, we talked briefly about the scale of consciousness. In order for a person to be able to accurately calibrate, to accurately use muscle testing, there's a few things that need to be in place. A couple of things. In order for someone to be able to calibrate accurately, a person must be calibrating at 200 or over. Remember, we talked about that level of integrity, that level where force becomes power. You must at least be calibrating yourself at 200, preferably 250. So if you think about that, 80% of the planet, 80% of the people on the earth who calibrate below 200 are not going to be capable of getting accurate results in muscle testing. Another thing, you have to have a working acupuncture system. A lot of people listen to heavy metal music and other low calibrating things. They watch television shows that kind of drag that calibration down. They're low calibrating and then train them in those lower energy fields. And it can screw up your entire acupuncture system. So you have to have a working acupuncture system. It's a little bit difficult with husbands and wives. That's something that Dr. Hawkins found throughout his work, is many times husbands and wives are not able to get accurate muscle testing results. And maybe it could be because they got a lot of stuff going on between them. Another thing, and you've probably heard your healthcare practitioner and everyone else, to your mother and everyone say this, you need to be hydrated. So there are basically two different ways that we muscle test. One requires two people, and that's sometimes more reliable. And it's good for people when they're just starting out and they don't really believe this stuff can work. When someone else's arm is giving you the response, you have a little bit more believability. The other is you can do it yourself. So first thing you want to do if you're going to do the two-person method, make sure both of you are qualified, have working acupuncture systems, are not married to each other preferably, and calibrate over 200. So when you begin, you're going to get answers quickly, and you're going to think that you're God. You're going to think you're so accurate. We're going to get into context in a minute, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. But let me first show you the two different methods. I don't have another person with me right now. Maybe we'll intercut someone in, but I would hold my arm out, and someone else would ask the question and say resist, and press down on my arm. What I typically do when I'm on my own is I use what's called the O-ring method. So I would do something like this. My name is David, and I'd get a baseline. It's strong. My name is David, for me, is a true statement. So there is energy flowing. It's responding to its truth. My name is Jessica. So you always make a statement whenever you're muscle testing anything. You never ask it in the form of a question. Is it a good idea for me to do this and such? You do it in the form of a statement. It is the highest and best good for David Kruger to go to the grocery store today. Whatever it is you're going to ask. And then you'll get your response. So a couple of pitfalls I want you to look out for. Concentration. Don't have your mind in two places at once. So many people go wrong because they don't know how to hold a thought in mind. So one of the most important things, hold a thought in mind. Practice. Actually, just practice holding a single thought in mind for 10 seconds. Another thing we need to consider when we are making inquiry with muscle testing is two big words that scare some of us because they encompass so much, but they're very important. And those two big words are content and context. Let me give you some examples of what we mean with that. A chair in the house. A chair in the living room of the house. In a statement like that, the chair itself is the content. And in the house is a frame of context. In the living room is an even more specific frame of context. So when you're asking about something, the content is usually the thing or the person you're concerned about. The context is its relationship with the world, and so you have to be very specific. So you could be asking the question, Brenda, Brenda went to the store. Brenda went to the store today. and you get a negative. It's a total difference in context. You know, Brenda's the content of your question, but the context is went to the store today, went to the store today before noon. So specificity in context makes all the difference in the world with muscle testing. This is another one of the big pitfalls that you got to watch out for. You know, a lot of these people out there calibrating all this stuff. Context is key. When you have different people trying to verify something, sometimes, you know, you might want to muscle test something and call your buddy and say, hey, muscle test, see if you got the same answer. The context must be the same. So I want you to consider the importance of the relationship between content and context. I have a lot more for you in part 2 of Applied Kinesiology. We'll see you next week.